I interviewed a guy named Marcus Ayres, who I met while playing rugby here at SVSU this fall. He's about 6'3", 6'4", 210 pounds, pure muscle, complete workout freak. He's a really good guy. He's kind of shy. He's smart, and he is a little crazy. I have to give him that. He's a little crazy. He's originally from Argentina in South America, and he's taught me many interesting things about himself, his country, and mainly about what it is to play rugby. Because in this country we know so little about it, and we don't really play it very often. Argentina is a very beautiful country. It is basically covered with rainforest and dense jungle, and it is a huge tourist attraction for Americans, especially because of its beauty and its biggest city is Buenos Aires. It's also its capital city. It's also where Marcus lives, I guess. Marcus wasn't born into poverty, like most people in Argentina were. His father owns a very big trading company down in Buenos Aires, and makes a lot of money off of that. And that's basically the only reason that he had the opportunity to come to America, is because his family could support him in his efforts to come up here and play rugby. Um, he's up here in Michigan to play rugby with the Tri-City Barbarians, who are a professional team out of Midland, and he's basically up here to play with them so he can practice, get to know the sport a little bit better, get some good competition in, and then go down to Argentina and try out for one of his country's national teams, which is his dream, what he wants to be able to do. But he told me that our pro rugby teams are nothing compared to like their club teams, or they're just for fun teams because the sport is so much more intense down there. And he's hoping that he will eventually make it one day to one of his nationalist teams. We talked about a lot of things. I asked Marcus about his country's economy, and he told me that the biggest thing was that he was so happy that his father survived the economic collapse that happened in 2001. It was huge for that country. It devastated them. It ruined a lot of people. Ruined a couple of Marcus's friends. He told me about people that he knew just went into complete poverty because they lost their jobs, lost all their money. The dollar became worthless, so they had no longer had anything left. And the one interesting thing about the economy, or not really about the economy, that he told me is that where he comes from in Argentina, it's a cheaper gas down there than it is up here, which doesn't make any sense because our dollar is worth more than their peso. But so it's cheaper for them to buy gas down there, and that's because they pump all their own gas, they distribute it, they make it, and so I guess it's a lot cheaper down there. We mainly talked about sports because he is in the rugby team, and that was like I guess the easiest common ground to talk about. I learned a lot about how America's sports are so much different than the rest of the world, even though it's hard to believe. In Argentina, basically, there are two types of people. Poor people play soccer, and the rich people play rugby. And also, the rich people also play polo, which is like, it's not very, it's a big sport down there, but you have to be like really rich to play because you have to own a horse. And the Argentina national team has been winning championships since 1925. They haven't lost one since then, so that's like over 80 years of winning, which is pretty nuts. I found it funny that our American football isn't really, it's known about, but it's not really cared about at all. Like here, it's like the biggest thing, and then down there, it's just like people know about it, but they don't know what it is, how it's played, how it's supposed to be run. Like if they watch the game, they would have no clue what's going on, which is kind of like us in rugby. We just wouldn't have any clue what's going on. I was also surprised at how baseball is not a big deal. Like baseball is usually a huge deal down in those South and Central American countries. So I was kind of surprised when it's not that big a deal down in Argentina. And also, um, basketball. It's like a for fun thing to do. That people know how to play it. They know about it, but it's not like they have a national team, but they're not very good. People just kind of play it for fun. It's kind of just like a relaxing thing. Um, After all of our rugby games up here, we have like a social with the other team where when we meet, we get together, we have like a party. But up there, down there, after every game, it's like a huge party, like an all-nighter. Like both teams will come together, and then all the fans will come together, and it'll just turn into like this huge party. And that's the main reason why rich people only play it, because they're the only ones who can afford to party so often and for so long. And and that's basically it about that. And then he told me, we talked about their diet. He said their diet isn't very tremendously different than from what we eat, except they eat less fat food or fast food and stuff like that because, well, it's just not as popular down there. Their cuisine is kind of like a melting pot like ours. Like they have influences from all over the world, like Europe, Italy, a little bit of Africa, the rest of South America. Really popular is Spain, like the Spanish influence. It's kind of all from all over. I asked them like, cause like up here like we were at home, like our moms like cooked food for us, like cooked dinner, and then they were like, I asked them if that was the same down there. And he told me that even though his mom didn't have a job because his father made all the money, she still didn't cook. They had someone else do it. They had other people prepare it, or they bought it straight out of the market, so they didn't have to prepare their own meal. And they also told me that drinking is like culture down there. I know it kind of is up here too, but it's like more so down there. Like they're really popular for their wine, and then they're like specialized liquors. But drinking is a culture down there. It's something that everybody does, and they do it quite heavily. But yeah, Marcus was a very interesting guy to talk to. I mean, I've talked to him before, but not really like that personal because he's kind of a shyer guy. But he doesn't go to school here at SVSU. He just plays on the team, the Tri-City Barbarians. We practice with them every Tuesday and Thursday. So I mean, like I've seen him and I know about him, but I never really got to know him. And it was fun to get to talk to him and get to know him. And I was very grateful that I had the opportunity to do that.